You're listening to the Youngpreneurs Podcast, the number one resource online for under 35-year-olds, where we chat twice a week to the most inspiring entrepreneurs in the world. We have it all. If you're looking for inspiration, guidance, or actionable tips to help you transition from that job into a business, or if you're ready to take that business to a whole new level, then this is the place to be. Get ready to live life on your own terms.
Youngpreneurs Podcast, episode number 163. What's up, world? Another day, another podcast. And man, it's been a while. I have been super busy, but that doesn't mean that I've been neglecting the show. What has actually happened was I was going to bring out a whole new style of show for the Youngpreneurs Podcast, which were interviewing businesses that were starting up, some that were growing and some that were already quite big, and were basically behind the scenes just having a call, masterminding, finding what their problems were and seeing how we could solve them and keeping them accountable. All was going awesome. It was going to be super valuable, and it still will be super valuable to all of you out there. But here's the thing. My computer decided to completely die, and stupid Victor did not have them backed up online. So all of the recordings, my Windows had to get completely rebooted, and it's still having some issues, and all of the episodes have been lost. So that is why I have fallen off the face of the earth with the Youngpreneurs Podcast. But what I thought I would do, so maybe about 15 episodes ago, I did kind of an update on where I was and things that were going on, and kind of challenges and where I was aiming to go in the future. So you can hunt back to there, and we might even link that in the show notes if you want to hear that episode. But I wanted to give you a bit of an update and some learnings that I've had over the last few months behind the scenes in my businesses. So I guess we'll start off with the Podcast Institute, which is where I help people create, launch, and grow amazing podcasts in different niches. So with that, I for a long time, I'd felt like I was the best kept secret because a lot of people weren't finding my trainings, and the ones that were getting amazing results. So I'd hunted around for kind of the right marketing funnels and techniques that I thought would be able to put me in the right stead and get out and be able to reach, help, and impact more people. So I found somebody by the name of Scott Alford, and he had a training called the SSF method. It stands for Sidewalk, Slow Lane, and Fast Lane, and it's a marketing technique that he uses and teaches, and it allows you to automate a lot of things, which is really cool. So once you've got it all set up and you've got your ads out working, it can continue ticking along by itself, and with you obviously fine-tuning and ticking along the marketing campaign. So I had been busily setting up for that and organizing my TEDx talk, which we'll get to later. But what I did, I got to the point of having it all set up and launched, but silly old me, I had looked at the training, and there were certain lead magnets, so certain things that get people to opt into your funnel and different things. And I had kind of brushed over the training and said, I've already got a lead magnet for that. I can just use some of these videos, they'll do. And it wasn't, once I actually got it to launch, it took a lot, there was a lot of moving parts to get it all launched. What I found was it was getting great engagement, but it wasn't getting as good results as what I was expecting. And I went back to the training and got some feedback, and basically I had taken them on no kind of psychological journey on why they either needed a podcast or why I may have the solution for it. And so I had tried to teach too much, which was quite an interesting concept to kind of grasp. Giving away free content, you often have to show people the problem rather than give them the solution all the time, because they're not aware enough to utilize your solution. So basically what that meant I had to do was go back, strip everything down, from create some new lead magnets, create some new videos, and I've just started to get all of those back. So it's been a matter of taking all those pieces apart, putting them all together, and in the coming days, that should all be launched again. But what I did at the same time, because they're both the training programs that I have, the one in public speaking and the one in podcasting, are both very similar. They help people share a message to a larger audience to grow their business, their brand, or increase their exposure and help them gain leads. So with the public speaking blueprint, I set that up at the same time. A lot of it was kind of copying and then just altering. But again, it was going down this different psychological pathway. So I've been super busy doing all of that, and it's kind of quite cool to be able to see almost the light at the end of the tunnel, to be able to launch the Facebook ads. And hopefully this will be highly automated. That'll get people into my online programs, which I know are super valuable, and I don't want to be that best kept secret anymore. And then for certain members, I'll offer them the ability to work with me one-on-one as a next tier product. But what I've kind of learnt from working with a lot of people one-on-one is I want to be very specific about who I do work with, to make sure that it's A, the right product for them, but B, that it's going to be the best utilization of my time to be able to take people to another level. So that's what's been happening with the Podcast Institute and the Public Speaking Blueprint. So the next kind of catch up like this will really go over how they've been performing and what I've kind of learnt from an advertising standpoint, because there's some pretty cool things that I've learnt so far, but obviously I haven't had them out in the wild and tested them. So we'll probably do a whole episode recap on that in a couple of months, or maybe early into the new year. With the public speaking, I've made a really bold decision that next year I'm going to go really full out with running live public speaking events. It's really what I want to be known for in the big wide world, and really what I want to leave my impact in. I have an ability to not only be a confident and charismatic public speaker, but, and trying not to sound too arrogant, I have the skill set to be able to teach others to have that. And when public speaking is such a huge thing that holds businesses back, holds entrepreneurs back, and holds even corporate executives from taking that next step up the corporate rung, I know it can have a really powerful influence. So again, setting up some plans to be able to grow that. And finally, with the Spring Physio and Rehab, which is my physio company that I started literally about a year ago, just as a kind of side, I wouldn't even say a side venture, but do a few days a week. I had a goal that I wanted to get to a certain amount of clients per week within a year, and that I'd be comfortable and happy if it got to that. But then I realized that I always want to grow, but that's kind of the comfort level. And as of this week, there's still a few days of getting clients in, which will likely occur. But I'm sitting around 2 clients off hitting that benchmark for the first time, which is cool, and it was pretty close the week before as well. So very, very close to that. I'm going to follow up with some clients that may have dropped off the list to try and make sure that I tick that off before the 1 year mark. So all is going pretty well through there. A lot of what I've found interesting around having a brick and mortar business, or a business where people actually come in rather than a digital online side of things, is setting up for a sell. I don't know if I want to sell it or if I want to grow it into multiple clinics or get staff or what have you, but being in the mindset of setting up for the sell from the beginning means that I have to create good systems, even though it's only me and some admin staff. And what I've found is surrounding myself again with good mentors in that space, a lot of ways that I can shortcut the systems, or not even shortcut the systems, but create efficient systems for people to follow if I was to bring on staff, or if I was to hand the business over. So I've had one company already that would be potentially willing to have that discussion, but at the moment I feel like I can set up a lot more systems. So in that regard, I'm working on dominating in the search engine optimization side of things, so SEO, so that the web page is the top when it's searched in the suburb that it's in, and having a set system of good converting Google AdWords. So I've got a mentor in that, so that if I need more clients, if I expand days, or if I get other staff on, that I've got a predictable way of putting money out there to get new clients in to fill that person up, so that it can be a break-even kind of cost acquisition. And then finally, I want to fine-tune the Facebook ads and acquisition for that, so that all of that should be well on track to being implemented by the end of the year. And the big difference when I say setting up for a sale, there's one thing of being full, there's another thing of having a clinic that can be full, that isn't reliant on you as an owner. So me treating, if patients like me, if I'm a charismatic person, or they just like me for me, that doesn't bode as well for if you want to expand or if you want to sell, because people may just come to you, and you don't want to be, I guess, shoveling on a business to somebody who's going to take it over and then it's going to fail for them. You want to create something that's going to be systematic, that they can step in, and there'll be some clients that may fall off because they like seeing me or they like seeing somebody else, but when they take it over, if they go, all right, we're getting leads through dominating SEO, cool, we can keep that going. We've got Google AdWords running, okay, let's turn that up so we've got a waiting list of clients, or we've got more than enough clients, or we're going to bring on a staff member, so if we turn it on, we know that it's not a hope methodology that they become full. We can put in proven kind of messages. Same thing with the Facebook ads and things like that. And what that does is it adds a hell of a lot more value to the sell side of things, because you're giving somebody predictable revenue, that you're giving somebody a business that they don't have to think about as much. And there's other things that I've set up with communication to other doctors and other referring practitioners. There's things that I've set up that automatically follow up with letters and emails and SMSs to patients who have not shown up, to patients who are having their birthday, to patients who haven't shown up for a month, and all these re-engagement strategies that can decrease your ad spend, but mean that you're not letting the patients that actually do want to come back and see you, but life's got in the way, you can follow them up with all of these systems. And this is where a lot of health practitioners and businesses and things lack, is they have this funnel, but there's all these holes in it. So coming up to kind of the 1 year anniversary, I'm still kind of building my whole funnel, so I can plug these holes as I go, and fortunately, through working in the online space and understanding the entrepreneurial world probably better than the average physio, I am able to see where these holes may be created and kind of build a solid foundation from the startup. So that's where the physio clinic side of things goes, and the aim next year is probably to expand its days out and potentially hire a part-time staff member to be able to do that. And there'll be different sets of challenges in there that I'll have to come across. And finally, some of you would have remembered that I was off to do a TEDx talk in New Zealand. I think it went pretty well. We'll have to see what the rest of the world has to say. Usually the videos are out by now, but there was some audio issues with some of the recordings, and so they've been sent off to multiple different audio engineers to see if they can get them up to scratch. So it's more of a wait and see then. As soon as it is out, I'll create an episode around it. I got really good feedback, and I've got some cool plans that I want to try and get it out to as many people as possible. I guess from the TEDx side of things, if there's anyone out there thinking of doing it, I really loved it because it's a non-profit group. It's a non-profit organization that none of the speakers get paid. None of the people who are the speaker coaches get paid. I think the only people who get paid are the caterers and the venue, and everything else is really done from the heart. And people aren't out there spruiking their wares. It's not a sales or a pitch event. It's generally people sharing a story that can hopefully be impactful to the audience and then the greater audience when it gets online. And there were definitely some massively impactful speeches in there and some great connections that I made. But it was just a really cool experience. I mean, there were some things from the speaking side of it that I found challenging in the way that they prepare and get the speakers going, and I know some of the other speakers did as well. But again, it was a challenge to overcome, and then on the day when you actually get it out there and put it out there, it's a really rewarding experience. So I'd highly recommend putting your name forward for a TEDx event if you have a message that you think you can share. And just remember, the message isn't about you, it's about how it can impact other people. So hopefully when that comes out, I'll be able to do some media hacking or get some friends to help that, to be able to get the message out to as many people. It was about mindfulness and meditation, and it's something that it came off the back of this podcast where a lot of the guests, which you would have heard, do some sort of mindfulness or meditation practice kind of on the daily, or journaling and different things. It was super cool because Logan Elliott, who I'd never met in person but was one of the previous guests on the show, he was also one of the speakers. So that was a really cool thing to be able to go, oh, here's one of the guests, and I'm actually talking about the podcast a little bit, and that was a super awesome experience. So there's been a lot that's been happening coming into the year. I wouldn't say I'm winding down. I'm probably ramping up with my ads for Facebook, with my marketing, finalizing some systems for the physio side of things, so that I've got a lot more automation and systems in place for all aspects of things that I'm trying to grow and create, because that means I can put a lot more focus into kind of one area at a time, which a lot of the building stuff is time consuming and tedious and hard and frustrating, but at the same time it is rewarding once you can see and you know that all these parts move together, or how much time this is going to save you in the future. So the saying really is, a stitch in time saves 9, and I would wholeheartedly agree with that. So that's a catch up on me. I'd love to hear what you have been up to. Flick me a message, victor@passiveincomeyoung.com. Jump over to passiveincomeyoung.com and you can find all the past episodes, 162 previous interviews and dialogues like this. And you can also pick up a 4-video series on how to start your first business online for $0. It's exactly what I did with the Podcast Institute, and made a few $1,000s off the back of that, spending $0 of my own money. And I would highly recommend, if you're thinking of getting into the online world, to do that. If you're enjoying the episodes, of course, jump over to iTunes or whoever you listen to podcasts with. Make sure you subscribe, hit rate and review, and share it with your friends. In the meantime, guys, keep living life on your own terms.
Thanks for listening to the Youngpreneurs Podcast. This was proudly brought to you by the Podcast Institute, the #1 training resource to take your business from chasing leads to leads chasing you, and from an absolute amateur to a full-blown authority. If you're looking to take your business to the next level, then a podcast is the obvious answer. You can get national and global exposure in a very fast time, and it's just exactly what I've done with this podcast. So if you want to find out more, get a checklist on how you can get started for under $60, and to find out more through a small training video that I've prepared for you all, then please check out passiveincomeyoung.com/podcast training.